My name is Agnes Lan. I'm a founder and VP of Sales at Change Connect.
Hi, my name is David. I'm the Director of Entrepreneurship and Innovation at York, leading YSpace, which I co-founded 8 years ago to support small businesses in the local community.
And this is At the Root. At the Root, we're about giving leaders, especially introvert leaders, a voice to their story.
We are also here to share the stories of the individuals, the community organizations, and individuals that allows them to tell us their origin story, where it all started, and hence At the Root.
David is finally here.
What?
We've been preparing for this for months, and can you believe the studio setup and how it all turned out?
It's honestly, but the team has done a fantastic job. It looks better than I thought it could. It's been more professional. I think I've been sending little snippets to friends, and they were like, "What are you doing? Are you starting a show? Like, what's going on?" So it's been kind of cool to see this all come together. I mean, it all started because I think I came to you at a random event. And I was like, "Agnes, I have this idea. I don't have time to do it. I'm not going to do it. I want to do a podcast." And then you came back 2 weeks later and said, "Great, I booked 3 people. When are we starting?" And I was like, "What? That was an idea." That's really the origin of where this all came from. Is I said Agnes had an idea, and she made it happen, and now we're here.
Hey, I'm a doer. What do you expect?
But no, it's great. I mean, it gets us into this conversation where, you and I always just shoot the crap anyways. Offline, online, it doesn't matter. We're talking about all these random things. I think this just gives us an opportunity to speak a little bit more openly, but also bring on a lot of our friends that we're calling guests that are really friends, people we work with, people we admire, and just get to talk about a lot of different things, from entrepreneurship, business, community, to even something that's a little bit close to our hearts. And what we've been talking about a lot recently is like the Asian culture and where that's going and how we're seeing it as Asians ourselves, but also just everything else that's happening in the world, from what's happening from a small business angle to tariffs and all that stuff. Like, I think what's going to be nice about this is we get to talk about all those things and explore all those things, but do it with friends.
Well, like your origin story is noble. Mine is just, I don't know the technicality of starting a podcast, and I feel like no matter how many books I read, how many instruction I read, if you don't jump in with both feet, you'll never know.
No, and I think a lot of it is, you and I were talking about this, right? A lot of what we see in media, what we hear and all that, it's what we want to see and hear. And you and I were talking about, like, why isn't there more examples of this or this community type of organization or this type of focus? And I think this gave us an opportunity to, one, learn more about those things, but also bring those friends on and have a conversation and be like, okay, well, let's have those conversations. So folks like us who are, behind the scenes talking about this, or people in different generations that want to learn, can now have more representation and just more of an opportunity to learn about the journeys and the stories. Because, media only captures so much, and they capture what they think we want to see and hear in the narratives. But some of the stuff that I think we're going to talk about is just the raw, unedited, and real conversations of what it's like to be in community, to work with startups, to be a business owner, to be a part of the different cultures that we're in. And I think there's some realness to that I think that'll be refreshing. It'll be nice.
The part I like most too is when you think about the very polished story, right? On news, on paper, on blogs, wherever we want to consume our media nowadays. I find we celebrate the good part.
Yeah.
And I'm old enough to realize we need to celebrate the bumpy ride along the way too, because that's what shapes your ultimate outcome. Like, if it was a smooth journey we talk about this with kids nowadays. If it's smooth journey every step of the way, I think a little entitlement settles in there.
Yeah, and where's the reality of that, right? Then you were starting to make the next generation think everything's easy, everything's coastal, which is, depending on upbringing, probably for both of us, anything but easy, and anything from a coast ride, right? Like, we'll go into our origin story a little bit, and I'll start by sharing, came as an immigrant, was with a single mother, but, I don't know if you knew this, I was my whole life, I was trying to be a scientist.
No.
Because I want to be the typical Asian kid and make my mom proud. I want to be, the Asian six-pack. You got the sciences, you got the maths, do well in school. I got into U of T Life Sciences program, and I always remember this. Grade 12, got in the program, Went to my mom, like, look, I got in. Time of her life, she was loving it. 2 days later, went back to her and said, Mom, I can't do it. I'm turning it down. And the heartbreak that I saw in her was just so real. And I think for an immigrant parent, you know, who's like escaped and did all these things so that they have a better life, when you tell them, I don't want to go into the program and everything you wanted me to, her immediate thought was, what did I do? What happened?
Yeah.
And it had nothing to do with her. It was more like me, like, I'll be honest, like, you know me now, and for the audience who's going to listen, like, can you imagine me in a lab 24/7 talking to no one? I would go crazy. Like, it was not going to happen.
You have no hair. I know.
It would be gone. Yep, you're right. I don't know. I don't even know what I would do. But it was just that realization.
Well, you wouldn't have met your beautiful wife.
No, I wouldn't, because we met in university. Like in that point, I think I was like, okay, I knew I didn't want to do it, because even all the hobbies I had and everything I love, like even from a young age, I would like go to different places, like go to Dollarama. I kid you not, this was one of my side hobbies as a kid. 2. One was go to Dollarama, buy bandanas. Back then it was cool. Little bandanas for like $1 or 50 cents. My mom used to be a seamstress, so you know I would go to her factory. She had all these stuffings that was just garbage. I'm like, okay, take a bandana, stuff it, sew it around, sell it as a pillow, $4, $3, whatever.
Nice.
But I would do that, and then like then there was wristbands with the thing, so I was always flipping, and I was like, I love that, like the creating and flipping and selling, and I was like, so I think when I really sat down, I was like, can I see myself in the lab? Absolutely not. I think when I turned down, you know, I think in that moment, probably crazy for my mom. I think now she thinks it's the best decision. Yes. Because now she's going to be proud, you know, of work. You know, to be honest, my mom thinks I'm a professor at university, which is not what happens. But it's okay, because that's part of the cultural barrier of, like, how do you explain your job to your parents? How do I tell her I work in entrepreneurship, I help businesses? To her, it's, you work at York, you have a good job, and you're a professor. Sure, good enough. Sure. So that's kind of a little bit of my origin story, kind of like, so, but I think all that is, when I talk to kids and classes in high school, is like, you know, I see so many kids who are going through same thing of like a bit of identity crisis, not knowing what you want to be, where you want to go, thinking there needs to be a one-shot path, and being not being the case at all, and having examples where it's like, you know, I would say I've still, you know, I make a decent living, I have a pretty decent life, but if you ask me when I was in grade 12, I'd be like, I have no idea what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
I just messed up my whole life. So all that to say, it's like, it's not going to be a one-shot path, and there's different ways to get there. And I love the stories of like, how do we showcase the different ones? So that's a little bit of my origin story, but what's your origin story?
Mine, I'm that poster child, right? I'm that poster child, straight A, engineering.
There's always one of those in the family.
You know what? Here's the shitty part, though. Everyone in my family, cousins, everyone's an engineer.
Oh.
So there's a little bit of a family pressure too.
Yep.
Like, if you don't make engineering, what are you gonna do with your life?
Yeah.
You know, kind of deal. But straight A student, listen to my parents. My mom always said, you know, tell my brother, your sister is like the dream child. She's respectful. She say hi to the elders. She would like have conversations and really be that bubbly personality within within the family that also gel everything together. Because I feel like as an oldest kid in the family, I also felt like that was my responsibility.
Right.
So it is, but luckily for me though, my taste of entrepreneurship came at a young age, where my dad is also an entrepreneur.
Oh.
So to convince my parents that I want to be an entrepreneur wasn't a tough path once I've done everything that they wanted me to do, right? You
Checked all the boxes.
With all the Asian parents, right? Oh, yeah, you finished engineering school, great.
You did engineering degree?
I did an engineering
I did
degree.
not know that.
UT engineering. You have to check those boxes, otherwise they wouldn't let you go, you know?
Yeah, I didn't do that. That's why.
So that's what I was like, I actually admired you that you were able to know from back in the day, OAC grade 12, that you actually got an offer and know to push it away. That's very mature, actually, for that age.
To be honest, I don't know what it was in me. I just knew it felt like the end of my life if I accepted it, as sad as that sounds. I don't know. I couldn't do it. But yeah, I didn't know you were an engineer.
I'm an engineer. And as much, everyone thinks I'm an extrovert. I'm actually
You and I
an
talked about this.
introvert.
Yeah.
I am an introvert to the nth degree. But I talk for a living. It's very odd combination. So you see that when we have guests that I'm unfamiliar with, I'll leave the talking to you.
That's how I feel because I'm also an introvert. Like we have guests where I'm like, I know you, but I don't know you. So I'm gonna take it away.
So it's, I think, a little bit of that. And then falling into entrepreneurship, luckily for me, which is an opportunity. So, and I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur, and I have a very loving husband, a very understanding one, and also one that understood me. Like the conversation, like I had a decent corporate job, and the conversation went that, hey, I wanted to do this, and my husband's, I kid you not, thing was, do it. I can't stop you anyways.
He knew.
But can you put a timeline on this? Like, if you don't succeed in 2 years, you just have to go back to corporate.
That's fair.
Like, okay. He's like, beside, I would never hear the end of it if I don't let you try.
That's a smart man.
So I'm like, you know what? Let's do it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how Change Connect got started.
Oh, how long has it been?
We're celebrating our 15th year.
Oh my goodness, that's crazy. Yeah, and it's crazy. 15 years of Change Connect and all that's kind of happened, and I'm so happy to kind of see the community, and that's where our two worlds kind of collided, right? Like I think I started at York, building YSpace 8 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
And we got connected, and this is back when, oh my gosh.
I was one of your first EIRs.
You were one of our first mentors. So it was Randy and what's the other guy's name? Jerry?
Jerry
And Randy came into the space and like, you got to meet this person. I was like, okay, who is it? So we met, and I think that's where you started doing a lot of mentoring, a lot of work for us, and I think we just started kind of talking and chit-chatting, and I think, you just kind of get a sense of people of like, when you start to mesh and you have really good conversations, you're like, what else could we do? I think that's where a lot of this stemming from of like, what else could we do? What does that kind of look like? And I think at the bottom of it, it's like, we're just both, I would say this, like we're both passionate about just the community and building entrepreneurs and working with them to support them. I think at the end of the day, both our jobs, it's about helping small businesses. How do we help them scale and grow? But then I think also, you being a mother, me being a new father, I think part of it was also like, how do we share more stories for the next generation? What does that kind of look like? And I can say this, I think one of the things that we've been debating and having conversation with a lot of our guests about is the Asian culture being celebrated or consumed. I'm at a point in my life where, planning forward and thinking forward now, being a father, having a kid, I'm celebrating my culture. I talked a little bit about it. There's a bit of identity crisis in the beginning where, from simple little things to, I don't know if anyone's going to resonate with this. It's like, you don't bring Chinese dishes to school because it smells or this. So you wanted the sandwiches, you wanted the Lunchables, right? Like, and all these little kind of nuanced pieces. But now, when I was hiding behind it as a kid, now as I'm older, I'm like, I want to celebrate. I want to show off my culture. I want to be a part of it. And I think part of the conversation, some of the guests you're going to hear from represents that. And I think that's really important. For me, that's why I think it's we're at a point where we're celebrating a bit of the Asian culture, especially just all the little nuances and we're seeing more proudful and prideful moments of it. Like we're seeing more movies, more Asian leads, more cast members, and that's been really cool to see because I don't think 15, 20 years ago you were seeing that, right? Like one movie recently came out, I'm gonna watch it because it's where I grew up, was oh my goodness, what's it called? It's literally a movie with TVB actors about Midland and Finch.
It's called Midland and Finch.
It's called Midland and Finch. That's where I grew up. I'm like, how am I not going to watch a movie that's going to be about the neighborhood I grew up in? But it's about foreign immigrants. And I think stuff like that is where I don't think I would have ever thought 10, 15 years ago I see that. But now you're seeing it, and it's like there's so many of these stories that I think we want to live on and carry on that I think are going to be so special and unique. So for me, I do think it's being celebrated. But what about you? What do you think?
I'm going to take the other approach just because, I like to argue with you. I'm going to say that I'm leaning toward being consumed.
Okay.
Partially is because I love Korean beauty product. Who doesn't?
It's a thing. Yep.
It's a thing. So, but I think With like you, and I'm older, so even I think more so, is when we were younger, I don't think we were given the space to celebrate our culture. I think, I don't know if, I don't think it's external either. I think a little bit of it is our culture not wanting to celebrate our culture. Like I think it's an internal thing.
Yep.
And it's not cool to be Asian. You don't want to eat that smelly fried rice at school. So you want to be anything but Asian. You want to act anything but Asian. Like it's not
You want to
cool.
be North American.
Yeah, you want, well, or anything but.
Yeah.
Like I remember, and I still have that friend until today, so we'll see if he listens to this podcast. I still remember in grade 8, like I immigrated here when I was in grade 4 or 5, and I think in grade 8 I was trying to study. I still remember. And then you have these people like, I still remember that scene. You know, these people like screaming in the back, like just doing kid stuff, right? Now that I understand, they're just doing kid stuff, grade 8 stuff. And then I just had it, fed up, stood up and said, "Hey, I'm trying to get an A here." And then this guy just like made fun of me for the rest of the year over this. And then I'm like, oh shit, I hate being Asian.
Yeah.
I hate being, like, I hate wanting to get a good grade. Why can't I be a cool
fun,
kid,
yeah.
right? So, but now, fast forwarding a number of years, when you talk about celebrated versus consumed, I also think the cultural barriers in Canada anyways, I think a lot of that cultural barrier have stopped. Like all the multiculturalism in Canada is one of the things that I'm super proud of. Have broken down the wall, the cultural wall. Everyone try to understand where the other culture is coming from. And because of that, you know, we talk about Korean beauty product, or we talk about Chinese manufacturing, right? But we say that with pride. We say that because other culture now understand that, oh, Korean beauty product is same as French beauty product. Like it speaks to a quality of the product by having that country name in front, right? Same as we talked about this over lunch. Same as the idea of made in China. 10 years ago, made in China is seen as a inferior brand. Nowadays, I talk to my client, which they're like 80% non-Asian. Like when we talk about stuff like made in China, and the new phrase is now created in China, right? So it's actually celebrated. It's actually deemed as, oh, superior quality. I want to buy my machinery from China, right? So I think our product is being consumed because there's better understanding of where it comes from. So it's not Korean versus Chinese versus France versus Spanish goods, right? It's just
Where's the
goods,
best product?
right? Where am I getting my goods? Where I get the best value for money if it's a business product or design, whatever it is. It's just now a fabric of our culture. How it intertwined with each other, right?
And I think it goes back to what you were saying too, because I think before a lot of our culture we were taught to fit in, be quiet, just do what you do, not kind of. But I think it's kind of changed over time now, where now it's like we're consuming, but we're being louder about what we're doing too, and we're being more kind of like out there and like, look, this is what we do. We're prideful of it, and we want to show it off. And I think that's kind of created a lot of shifts that. It's going to be good. I think it's going to be good for our culture. It's going to be good for a lot of our people. Like we said, like there's a lot of different stuff that's coming on. But you'll kind of see even with some of, I think, the guests and friends that we're going to have, what they're doing for that culture and showcasing it and kind of putting it out there. I just think as we do more of these, I think the hope is that there's just going to be more stories that come out, more conversations, more stories. And it doesn't even have to just you and I talked about this earlier too. It's like, Asian culture is one piece of it, but how does that interact with other cultures? Because it's not just us. Like you were saying, Canada's so multicultural. in our community, yes, we're Asian, but we interact with so many different cultures and ethnicities, and that interaction itself is really interesting. And even one of our guests was talking about the neighborhood he grows up in and how that interaction changes his music taste and what does that look like. So I think there's going to be a lot of that we're going to see over time, of this cross-pollination of cultures, which is actually really exciting, and it's really good to see.
It's, if we can get the podcast to be like a miniature Canada showcase of Canadian make, that ultimately is where I want to go with it. Just because I feel like, being an introvert too, like the introvert story never get told.
Right.
Because we just don't go out and to seek opportunity to be telling the story. But there is so many entrepreneurs, successful entrepreneurs, that are just introvert in nature, so that they don't go seeking the opportunity to speak, and then we can't celebrate those stories either, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think that's why we're so excited. We're so excited for this podcast. We're so excited to share the stories of our guests, the people that we got to get to call friends, and just shine a little bit of light on their business too. I think, to be honest, most of the brands, you will probably hear of them or know of them. Not like they need us, but we're so grateful for their time. Just share a little bit of behind the scenes of what's going on day to day, their personal life even a little bit. So we hope you enjoy it. We hope you're going to love it. We hope you're going to come back for more. This is just the beginning. Like I said, I don't know what Agnes is going to come back with next week. Maybe next week she has 5 more guests for me. Who knows? But the list keeps growing, and I think the stories are going to continue. So we're really excited. So thank you so much. And really looking forward to having all our guests on the show. Thank you for listening to the At The Root podcast. We're super excited. And please like and subscribe.
And stay tuned for the next episode.